352-629-2440. In addition to our pasture mowing and tractor services, including zero-turn mowers for your fence line finish, we also offer rototilling and fence row spraying. We are family-owned and operated, licensed and insured, and farm-ready. Powell Gene, Gene, at yahoo.com. 352-629-2440. Gene Powell Pasture Mowing. 352-629-2440. Gene is a proud United States veteran.
Embrace Magazine is boldly uniting lifestyles as the first ever and only gay magazine in North Central Florida, based right here in Ocala. Recently honored with 14 awards from the Florida Press Club, our mission is to unite the gay and straight communities through exceptional content appealing to all. Hi, I'm John Sotomayor, publisher and executive editor. Tune in to our radio show on Wednesday, November 25th at 10:30 a.m. here on WOCA. To read our digital issues, the premiere issue, and the newly published Heroes issue, follow us on Facebook and visit our website at embracemagazine.us.
Now you did it. Are you completely insane? He's back. He, who must not be named. The man, the myth. The only guy in Ocala to eat his own weight in fried pickles. Twice. Now, you asked for it. Sorta. Live and in person. It's Tom Schmitz.
Welcome back to Ocala Talks. And this morning we're talking baseball. Galen Unall held over past the 8:30 hour because he's so wrong, and he's going to try to tell me why I'm wrong, but he's so wrong. Hey, if you want to enter the discussion, tell us some of your favorite baseball players in their position. 622-9622 is the number to call. Galen, go ahead. Tell me what you wanted to tell me so I can tell you why you're wrong.
Well, I mean, again, you like Ryan Sandberg. I'm surprised you didn't go way back when. Roberto Alomar could be up there. Rod Carew could be up there. But Joe Morgan's the greatest. He just is. I'm glad you just didn't say Roger Hornsby, who played, back in '04 or something.
He was really good. But you got to set it.
Played for like 37 years.
Right. You got to set a parameter. You know what I mean? Everybody says Cy Young's the greatest because he had 500-something wins. Yeah, but you only had one pitcher on. You only had one pitcher on the team then. He had to pitch every day. I mean,
he had more losses than wins.
Right, yeah. I mean, come on. They were barnstorming back then. They'd go on a barnstorming tour and pitch like 35 days in a row with no ice in the shoulder or nothing. These were tough guys back then.
Well, and they also didn't throw the way the guys throw today. You didn't have these specialists who came in, so they knew they were in for the long haul, and they pitched accordingly.
Right. Unless you're Walter Johnson. Walter Johnson just brought the heat the whole time. He just popped the glove.
He didn't even throw a curveball.
No, he just brought the heat. If you can catch up with it, good for you. But that's back when the fastball back then was about 88 miles an hour, and then Walter Johnson was pumping it up there at like 98, 99. That's a huge difference.
I read an article, and he would say, just sometimes I would just not throw it as hard.
Right.
That was his change of pace. Yeah.
But
second base is a no-brainer for me. It's the easiest position to say who's the greatest of all time.
Glenn Hubbard.
I mean, outfield, we could battle. Yeah, I figured. Oh, that's terrible. But you know what? He is the best second baseman in the Braves' history.
Oh, the Limmer may have something to say about that.
Both guys under 5'5".
Yeah,
you like guys that you can look down on.
Well, all Limke was a newer, a newer, better version of Glenn Hubbard. I mean, it was just
a little thinner. I mean, Glenn Hubbard was fat.
Right, and he used a glove that was the size of about a boxing glove.
Oh my gosh! I had a coach that I coached with. And he goes, the second baseman should have the smallest glove on the field. I'm like, okay, Glenn Hubbard. And he never got the joke. And then one day he saw the baseball card of Glenn Hubbard, and he goes, hey, man, I get that now. That's not funny.
Yeah,
it is.
It's very funny. Ray Green was my Little League baseball coach in Jacksonville. Coach Green, God rest him. He was my Little League baseball coach. And he always was the guy that if you played shortstop, he was the guy that, as you would rotate, he'd rotate shortstops and second baseman to try to get you to know how to play both positions in case there were some injuries and stuff like that. And I was the best kid on the team. I could hit the ball farther than anybody, and I played shortstop. And when I was 9, 10, 11 years old, I was the shortstop. he tried to get me to go over there to second base. Ball would hit me in the face, hit me in the shoulder. I could never grasp the concept of catching, pivoting, and throwing towards first base from the second base side of the bag. To me, it takes a special. To me, the two hardest positions on a baseball field are second base and catcher, because second base you got to do your body unnatural to throw across it, and catcher, you have to somehow block out that somebody has a stick swinging it near your face.
Both true. But again, as long as we agree that the greatest second baseman is Joe Morgan, and it's not close.
Well, it's hard to disagree with,
because you haven't said anything to disagree.
But you could put
you held me other.
Could you do
you
this?
held me over to disagree.
Well, I think Roberto Alomar's offensive numbers were pretty close to Joe Morgan's. Pretty close to Joe
era
Morgan's.
though, but I understand the sentiment.
And in a time where Joe Morgan got to see the starting pitcher the third time through, the fourth time through. Roberto Alomar, by the sixth inning, Roberto Alomar had somebody coming in that was, because of how the game was played and how they faced different pitchers. I don't know. It's just, but you could almost get away with putting that big red machine that I just named. You could make an argument that everybody at every position on that team is the top five in their position in the history of the game.
You are absolutely correct. I'm not going to disagree with that. But my argument is very simple. Joe Morgan was the best player on that team.
He was the best. He was the most talented, best player on that team. The guy that got the most out of the least, though, was the guy that lied about gambling on baseball and refuses to be, stand down. No. I'm not saying he was. Here's what he was, but he got the most out of the least, because he was not very talented when it came to his fielding abilities and his running abilities. He just out-hustled you. That's how he got the name, Charlie Hustle. He just out-hustled you. Now, you're right. He's not the greatest hitter of all time. When people say, who's the greatest hitter of all time, and you got the one guy that goes, well, that's easy. Pete Rose has got more hits than anybody else. Ichiro Suzuki was a 10 times better hitter than Pete Rose was.
Agreed, but he's not the greatest.
No, he's not the greatest. The greatest hitter to ever play the game. I mean, you start at Ted Williams and you go from there.
Yeah, well, he is first, and then you decide who second is.
Right.
Yeah, agree.
And you could argue that another Red Sox may be the second best hitter in baseball ever in Carl Yastrzemski.
No, I wouldn't make that argument.
You could. But then you're ignoring Stan Musial that way, too.
You'd really struggle to do that. And this is gonna piss you off probably, but Barry Bonds is in that conversation.
No. You know what aggravates me about Barry Bonds? Barry Bonds was the greatest baseball player on the planet. He had it was written in stone that when the game of baseball ends, whenever that is, he was going to go down as the greatest player to ever play the game.
Agreed.
And then he got jealous that Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa was getting so much press that he took steroids in the twilight end of his career, and that's what he'll always be known as. And he was the best damn player in the game, and it wasn't even close.
Agreed. No, and that's what's unfortunate, because I loved him as a player. The ultimate five-tool guy, MVPs. But I'll tell you what, there was a 2-year stretch where you could not get the guy out.
I know. I'm a Braves fan. I know. Believe me. I'm a Braves fan. Believe me. You would always know when an inning was coming up. Okay, how many batters till it gets to? Okay, 6 batters away. We can get through this.
We could fight through. Hey, that's funny. That is true, because he killed the Braves.
Yeah. But he killed everybody. So the only good thing I can say about Barry Bonds that makes me laugh is the fact that a weak ground ball through the gap in a second between short and third that he fielded about 100 feet off the baseball diamond, and he couldn't throw out Sid Bream. Come on, man.
Wasn't a terrible throw.
It was a horrible throw.
I don't know. In today's game, Sid Bream would be out. How about that?
He would be out by a mile, and he should have been out then, because the best baseball player in the game had come up with the ball. He threw the ball practically slap into the ground. It was a terrible throw.
Didn't help.
But yeah, Barry Bonds.
Didn't help.
Barry Bonds, and I understand the whole growth hormones. And by the way, Barry Bonds did not do steroids. The last thing we'll do before we let you go, because we got to let you go, Barry Bonds did not do steroids. Everybody says Barry Bonds did steroids. He did not. Steroids don't make you go from a size 11.5 cleat to a size 13 cleat. So steroids don't make you go from a 7 3/8 hat to a 7 7/8 hat. Okay,
that's the key. His head grew, and it wasn't. And it's not. And he got more bald.
He's 33 years old, and his head grew. That's growth hormones. That's not steroids.
That's funny, man. It's true. It's true.
Galen, where's the bloodmobile at today?
Hey, today we're going to be at Tuscany Apartments, so come see us. But we're always right there on the boulevard, 1607 East Silver Springs Boulevard. If you want to talk baseball or anything else, well, we'd love to listen. And the good thing about it, the Blood Center, is we don't argue with you when you're wrong. We just have to sit there and take it.
Yeah, see, I have to argue with you when you're wrong, or the listeners wouldn't like me for that. Hey, tomorrow morning we're talking first base.
Okay, that's easy.
All right, Galen.
It's easy.
Talk to you tomorrow.
Do your homework.
I know it's not.
Right, bye.
It's not even difficult. Thanks, Galen.
No, it's not. Bye, y'all.
Galen, for Life South. We'll take a break. Come back. Give you a few items that I found interesting in the news overnight, and get you set up for vet news with Veterans Helping Veterans coming up at the top of the hour. You're listening to Ocala Talks, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, WOCA.
Veterans USA. Call 352-433-2320. We help veterans and their families with limited financial assistance, counseling, employment referrals, and a food and clothing bank. You can help in making a huge difference in the veterans' lives we serve by donating food, clothing, household items, or direct financial assistance. All donations are tax deductible. Veterans Helping Veterans USA. 352-433-2320. Thank you for your attention, and God bless America.
On this episode of What Not to Do, brought to you by
Mike Scott Plumbing. If water runs through it, we do it.
I thought I told you to call Mike Scott Plumbing to get this leak fixed.
I did call the plumbers. They were just here.
Let me get this straight. You're telling me Mike Scott Plumbing was just here?
Well, not exactly.
Well, then who exactly was here?
The other plumbers. They were having a